John Deere's attempt to replace 10,000 unionized workers who are currently on strike has already turned into a mess less than 48 hours into it. So 10,000 unionized workers at John Deere are currently striking for higher wages and better conditions. This is after their CEO increased his own pay during the pandemic by 160%. So as you increase your own pay as the CEO by 160%, you can't then not expect to increase the workers' pay that are the ones that are directly giving you the profits that your company are making, which, by the way, John Deere is on course to make $6 billion in profits this year. Well, John Deere's brilliant scheme to temporarily replace these unionized workers is to put salaried office workers into those unionized positions, with these salaried workers dealing with heavy machinery that they aren't used to working with. So how do you think that's going? Well, here's how that's going. Day one. This from Jonah Furman, who's done an incredible job covering this story. He works for labornotes.org. Tweets out here, day one, a non-union salaried worker just crashed a tractor inside the plant. Whoops. Yeah, so here's the incident here. He crashed into some kind of electrical grid or something, and they have to repaint the tractor and fix that. So already, day one, someone crashed a tractor. Also, on the first full day of John Deere using non-union workers to attempt to replace UAW members on the factory floor, didn't even make it till 8 a.m. without a 911 call. Now, apparently, this was for I think he says here, medical reason, not an accident for what it's worth. But we don't know what that medical reason is. Maybe you have these salaried workers here just so stressed that they have to be in this position and, I don't know, getting sick because of it. But it's just, we're barely into this strike, and these John Deere's plan here is already falling apart. Also, Jonah Furman here tweeting out, here's a full report from one of the salaried workers forced to work on the inside at John Deere during the strike. And by the way, before I get to this, you may be wondering, why are these salaried workers, if they're in support, at least this one is in support of these strikers, why are they doing this? Apparently, their jobs are on the line. So there's this fear here that they essentially, one employee has all but said that, or he said that management has all but said that they would be fired if they didn't agree to fill these positions. So, I mean, one way to counteract that would be for these salaried workers to maybe form a union and work against this plan to put them into these 12-hour shifts, which is what they're doing, by the way, 12-hour shifts on these factory floors. But he says here that the salaried worker says the strike is a disaster for Deere, costing them time, money, engineering resources, and employee goodwill. And by the way, I read through this. I will link to this below the video so you can read through it as well. But it's a great just overview of what is going on. So they have these people basically just thrown into the position that they've had very little training in how to deal with this machinery on the floor and how to do all this stuff. And basically, he goes on to say here, they had some training when it comes to how to operate the equipment, but then no training at all in terms of how to pack it. So they've had what would take a unionized worker 2 hours, a job 2 hours to finish. It's taken them 8 hours to finish. And that clearly is going to have an impact on John Deere's bottom line. He also says here, Wall Street is getting scared about the John Deere strike. Bank of America analyst report headline yesterday, quote, Deere likely has limited appetite for extended strike. Evercore ISI, an industry analyst, downgraded Deere's stock price projection by almost 25%. If there is anything that will break this strike, it's probably going to be this. They're worried about how they the value of their company more than anything. So if they're seeing that drop considerably, then that, I think, would make John Deere get back to the negotiating table and give these workers what they deserve. Couple last tweets here. Jonah Furman says, long thread but important. John Deere workers have reached out to me frustrated about media repeating company talking points that workers make 60 to 70K a year. One who's been there over a decade showed me what they made in 2020, under 40,000. So let's talk about wages at John Deere. So here you go. A little idea of how much they're making. Meanwhile, again, the CEO increased his pay by 160% during the pandemic, and John Deere on track to make $6 billion in profit this year. Last one here. I just thought this was great. I saw this from Jay Ryan saying UPS drivers do not cross picket lines to make a delivery ever. We have the option to enter a non-delivery as strike. So you see here, various options for UPS drivers to list why they couldn't make a delivery. One of them is strike. Good to see. So I love seeing workers of other companies stand in solidarity with striking workers. So it's awesome to see UPS drivers doing this. And again, I hope these workers all the best. And based on how John Deere is looking right now, I think they're hopefully on track to get what they deserve.